Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back with update 1.23, which has come out today. As you can see there, as you load up the game, you're going to get the update notification to let you know the game has been updated. Added features: you can now buy certain cars that are under a certain amount of credits from the PlayStation Store, but don't worry, you can still get all these cars from within the game. Also the livery editor for the costumes, the new cars that have been added, which we'll have a proper look at some of them in a minute, the new tracks, which has actually got 3 variations, and I have to say this track is brilliant. I can't wait to show you the track. I'm going to let you guys watch some of the other tracks yourself. Some new added things for the leagues, new circuit experience added for Le Mans, obviously, because that was the last track, one of the latest tracks to get added. Some scape information, which I'm not really worried about. I don't think many other people, there is people that obviously like the scapes, but I'm not a massive fan of them. So with regards to the PlayStation Store, it's just for certain cars under a certain value. I think you can just buy them outright if you don't want to grind the points. But most interestingly, there's been some changes within the game. The new tyre model has been added into the game. This is affecting grip, obviously, in cornering, braking, mainly off throttle, I will say, from the test I've done. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and slightly on the acceleration. Also, there's been reductions to the edge of the track for grip when set to real. When you're off the racing line, you pick up the tyre, like you'll see it on the tyre debris off the track. When you're offline, you'll see it on some tracks where it's on the edge of the track, like off the racing line. You now pick that up and your tyres will get dirty, and you'll lose speed, and it will affect the way the car handles. And off the track is obviously a little bit more severe now. I think it takes longer to get rid of dirt and stuff off the tyres, and it affects your car's performance. They've also added some nice features into the race start. So for race starts now, if you've got a standing start, you can now set it to a manual start, so it's not you can actually get false starts, which is good. I wish they'd add a similar system into the rolling start, so we could do it manually. That would be the next step, I think, that needs to come in for FIA races, to have manual rolling starts, a lot like iRacing. If anyone's watched my iRacing starts, that's how I think they should go with that. With regards to the cars, there has been some BOP changes, along with obviously increases and decreases, which we can have a little look now. You can see from the Group 3 cars, the Ferrari 458 has had a power decrease, which actually might help that car out in terms of its drivability. It might make that a little bit nicer to drive. The GTR has also had a power decrease. I think the same for that, but it'll also help on it. It was a little bit too overpowered. I mentioned that in a video before. And the Peugeot RCZ has actually had a power increase. On the Group 4 cars, the Megane has had a massive weight added to it by 2%, exactly what I said in a previous video. But I said that I think they should have added the power up by 1% when doing that, and I think I still go along with that because I've tried it out, and we'll go through that in a bit. The GT by Citroen has had a weight increase. The Audi has had a power increase, I think it is. And the Peugeot RCZ Group 4 car has also had a power increase, which will make that car very fast in a straight line. But obviously the tyre wear is still going to kick in, and it will just destroy that car when it comes to corners. Also, the Group 1 cars, the 2 Audi cars have had a decrease in power, and the Bugatti has had a decrease in power also, which I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, it's not very often you'll see the Bugatti at the top of the leaderboard for many tracks on the Group 1 cars, but they've done whatever they've done. And this is a strange one. I don't know how to interpret this. The daily races will be changing to a weekly rotation, basically is what it says. So I presume what it means is we're going to have one race on daily race for a whole week, and then it will change. I'm not too keen on this if they're going to keep the current way that they're going to do these races with like 8 laps. I think if you wanted to do that change, you really needed to add the races a little bit more endurance based. So if they were going to do that and have a daily race C that was like 30-40 laps, I agree with it. Do that and have realistic settings and keep it on for a week. But having the same race on rotation every 30 minutes for a whole week could get a little bit boring if that's what they're doing. I don't know whether it is for sure. It might be my interpretation of it being a bit wrong. But let's have a little look at the Megane's BOP change. It's on the daily race B today. It's a sprint race. So I thought I'd try out the Megane. I did one lap very quickly, so there is more potential with this lap. Obviously, I know the track reasonably well because it's just been on the FIA. I did a 206.4. I think it was, with a little bit more potential in the FIA time trial qualifying practice session thing. This lap is obviously now with the new tyre model, which is affecting the cars very slightly. I'll talk about it a little bit more in the next clip in a bit, but it is affecting it a little bit off throttle. Not so much with the Megane because it's got so much grip. Can't really feel it with the Megane, the tyre model, in terms of its acceleration and brake. It's mainly just off throttle a little bit, but BOP has changed this car quite drastically. You can't brake quite as late now. You can nearly brake as late, but you can feel the weight in this car now. They've added that 2% weight and really increased the weight of this car, because obviously if a car weighs 1,000 kilograms, 1% increase is going to add quite a bit of a weight to that. So 2% is quite a big weight increase on this car. You can feel it, and it has altered the top speed of this car, which is what I worried about. So they've decreased its ability through the corners, but now it's even slower through down the straight. So although the car is probably still going to be a good GR4, maybe they could, I think what they could do is doing this, maybe adding another % on weight increase, but then increasing the power by 1%, because it needs a bit more straight line speed, because against other cars this is just going to get overtaken so easy now on the straights. However, it still might be okay on the corners. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out with this car now, what tracks it still be dominant at. I think they need to alter the Alfa Romeo also, the 4C. They haven't done it on the BOP change. I think that needs a weight increase also by 1%, just to make that a little less overpowered on certain tracks. But this car's definitely a little bit better now. You can see a 207.9. I think about 7/10 of that is probably the tyre model change, and the rest is probably just the changes in terms of its BOP. Now this is Bathurst. I did this track was on just the other day, and I did a 201.4. Obviously, remember all default settings. Racing hard tyres, you can't change setup in daily races. And this is the exact same settings now in the Corvette, same car I'm using. Decided to see what it's like with the new tyre model. Now I only did very quick 2 or 3 laps just to get a general idea, and going through the first sector there, pretty much very close to what I was doing when I did my 201.4, slightly off. I did do quite a good first sector though on this lap. Got a little bit of oversteer there. This is where I think a little bit of oversteer is kicking in with this new tyre model on certain places, but this is the main area I'm finding different. It feels so much smoother off throttle now. I feel like you can line the car up a little bit better, but it's strange because you're losing time overall. You can see again the rear getting a little bit loose. It kind of feels like the front end's a little bit lighter on the cars now with this new tyre model. It feels like, it's really hard to explain, but on the old tyre model, when you lifted off front and went into a corner, sometimes the front would start understeering as if it was too heavy and you're taking too much speed. It feels a little bit more smooth now when you do that. You can see on this lap what I'm talking about. I mean, this still gets a little bit of it here where I'm going quite aggressive, but it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. But your lap times have been decreased because you're probably not carrying as much speed as you used to anymore. So it's interesting how this new tyre model's working out. Some people will find it might be quite a bit slow. You see again on the power, the rear stepping out a little bit, but it's just a case of getting used to it. I don't think the times are going to be a massive difference. I think for this car at this combination, I think you're looking at probably about 7/10, half second, 7/10, because this lap was obviously just me jumping on. First go on the new tyre model, not really having a clue what to expect, and it's not too much different. You see obviously racing hard tyres on, BOP's on, and I'm about a second down on what I did in the time trial with the old tyre model on. Obviously all the leaderboards have been reset now from the circuit experience. Everything's been reset because it's a total new tyre model. So it'll be interesting to see how the daily races on the leaderboards, see who gets the hang of this tyre model first. It doesn't feel massively different to me. You see a 202.8, I could get that down to a late 201, I think, 201.9. So about half a second to 6-7 difference. So next up, we're going to go to the new track, and I have to say, they've done an amazing, this track is brilliant. I wasn't looking forward to it because I thought it was all a road track, but how wrong was I? I'm not going to show you all the tracks. This is just the A version. I'm going to let everyone else check out the other tracks themselves and experience it for a first time. But I'm going to drive it really slow. So going into turn 1, quite a nice flowing right hand corner that leads onto this part of the track. You can see where different variations. There's 3 variations of this track, so a lot of variety, and the 2 track-based variations. So this is obviously more track-based, and this is what was a surprise for me. I did expect them to be a road-based circuits, but they're not. It's a track-based circuit, and there's 2 variations of that kind of circuit. And the long version incorporates the track base but adds a little bit of road section in, which they kind of fooled us with that screenshot they showed us with the road circuit. That's what set a lot of people thinking it was going to be road based, but this track is such a nice flow to it when you're looking at it. Look at the way the corners are quite, and how wide the track is. It's such a wide track. It's going to give a lot of opportunity for overtakes, which I like, and I just like the way it flows from corner to corner. There's pretty much every kind of corner in this track, and the other version of the track as well, which is quite a bit different, which I'll let let everyone else try that out themselves. I'm not going to show you all 3 variations now and ruin the surprise for you. I think it's fair just to let you check out some of it yourself. But see, just driving really slow. I didn't want to push obviously because I don't know the track, and I just wanted to see what the corners were like driving it slow and just have a little look at it and see the different type of corners there are. You can see how they really flow from one corner to another, and then it's like, I think this variation of this track will probably suit more of a handling car. There is a lot of power sections on it as well, but some of the straights come off of fast corners, which will be carrying more speed in a handling car anyway. So it will be interesting to see what cars suit what. I think the longer version is on today's Daily Race C, and the new Ford was dominating the time trial, but that could be that just everyone's using that car and not trying other cars out. So don't base your judgment of that leaderboard on the new BOP, because I think that's just that car just suiting the track, not suiting the track, everyone's just trying the car out. It would be interesting to see when the FIA comes to these tracks what kind of cars suit it. But again, another nice little section here is you go into a tight corner, then onto a fast flowing corner, and then there's a really tight hairpin up here now. You can see on the map, nice tight right hand corner here, braking down. And I just like how wide the track is as well, which is going to incorporate so many different lines for people to attack this course. It's not just a case of really thin one line. When it comes to overtaking on this course, you're going to really be able to see how I go really wide there. People are going to be able to take so many different lines, and then it leads on to this part, which is kind of a bit of the road-based track, going over the bridge, obviously, which is incorporated into the racetrack, and I really like it. It's like a proper racetrack with just little bits of road section incorporated into it. So I think a lot of people are going to like this track. I think it's definitely one of the best fictional tracks they've added into the game. I prefer it over Dragon Trail. I prefer it over the Autodrome Maggiore track and Kyoto. I think this really feels real. When you're driving it, it feels like this could be a real track. It's definitely got such a nice flow to it, and different type of corners. And the longer track, which I'm going to show you a little clip of, is the track that they obviously, when they showed us the little bit of video clips of some of the flowers, the purple flowers, it's what fooled a lot of people, because that's where everyone was thinking it was going to be a road-based circuit and not a proper race track. Obviously it's not a real track, this is a fictional track, but it's certainly a track that I'm going to enjoy, and I'm kind of glad this has been added. A lot of people are going to probably complain, I wanted Grand Valley, but we all knew it wasn't going to be Grand Valley. We all knew it wasn't High Speed Ring. Well, most people did, but some people still thought it was going to be them. But this is definitely one of the best tracks they've done, I think, so far. I really like the flow of it. So we'll have a little look at the point where we got confused. So look at the flowers there. This is the longest version of the track that goes off into the road-based section with the road markings on, and this is why they confused a lot of people. Look at the buildings, the houses. This was just I was just cruising around again on Megane, again on the longer version. I'm going to let everyone else try obviously the track out. I'm not going to show the full lap. This video would be too long if I showed the full versions of all the tracks. But you can see, really nice part of the track. It goes off, it's really fast flowing, this section that goes off onto the road part, really fast corners. So again, that's where we all got confused, thinking it was going to be a road-based circuit. This is just the longest version that incorporates some road-based part onto it. The main tracks, track A and B, are the more circuit-based, real circuit-based track, and then this is the longest version that incorporates the road-based into it. And this looks great, this driving through the purple flowers onto straight. Next up, we have the Mercedes F1 car, the 2017 Mercedes F1 car. Now, there is an issue with this car. Myself, Lightning, and a few other drivers, some very good drivers, have found this out. There is a definite issue with the accelerator on this car. This isn't something to do with the ERS. This is something within the game that I think they've bugged out, because I've driven these hybrid cars on the F1 games, on Assetto Corsa, on iRacing, and it doesn't do it in any of them games. R Factor as well. No other game I've ever experienced this issue with. I actually had to go into the settings on this car. I changed the gearing and I changed the LSD to try and see how the rear kicks out there. I changed the LSD to try and help this out, but there's an issue with the accelerator sticking when you're off the throttle. I think it's just a bug within the game that they may have to patch, because there is actually an FIA race with this car at Suzuka, and it is going to be an absolute nightmare if they haven't fixed this up by then. So much power in this car, it's really tricky. I'm driving it with no traction control. I'm going to show you the lap now, and I'm going to point out what I'm talking about with this throttle being stuck on accelerator. It just randomly sticks on and comes off all of a sudden, and when it does that, it's kicking the rear end out, which is obvious it's going to do that because of the way the accelerator is just instantly coming off, and the car just can't cope with it, and it's going to cause massive issues because we can't change the setup in the sport mode. Fair enough, in lobby settings you're going to be able to alter setup to try and cure this, but watch this now. Going into turn 1, look at the accelerator staying on. I paused it there. It's staying on when I'm off throttle at this point. I've not got any throttle on. Then watch it just suddenly just come off instantly, and that is cool. You see the rear nearly went there and I managed to just about save it. Just about save it. It's definitely an issue with this car. A lot of people have pointed out and found, said the exact same thing as me. TRL Lightning also agrees there's something not right with it. It kind of needs fixing. We'll have a lot of a look again, and that's more so the power kicking in there with the oversteering there. But going into this corner now, have another little look on the throttle as I come off throttle in a minute. So just feeding a little bit of throttle in here now, and then off throttle. I'm off throttle there, and it's still staying on, and again it's kicking the rear out. So there is something not right with this car. I think it's a bug. Hopefully they're going to get this sorted. Whether it's the same for wheel players as it is for pad, and maybe if anyone can let me know if that's happening on a pad, it'd be interesting to know, because it's definitely some sort of bug. You're going to see again coming into the final corner, off throttle now, and then suddenly it drops off there. This isn't, some people are going to probably try and claim this is how the engine's supposed to work, but it doesn't do that on any other simulation game I've ever come across. It shouldn't affect the car in that way, the way it's kicking the rear out. So hopefully that will get sorted before the FIA race. But hopefully, if that gets sorted, this will be an okay car to drive. It's quite a tricky one. It's going to take a lot of practice. Next up, the Ford GT, the Group 3 car, which has been added into the game. The old GT3 car. It's on iRacing as well, pretty much. I think this is a different version of it. This is the version that was on the older Gran Turismos. It feels like it's going to be a good Group 3 car from what I just did a very quick lap of Brands. Actually didn't. Obviously, I've had to get all this footage very quickly together to give you, an idea of what's in this update and how the car's handling that. I think this Group 3 Ford is very nice. It feels like you've got to rev it quite a lot, rev it out to get the most out of it. It's got reasonable turning. Off throttle, it feels like it wants to carry too much speed into the corner sometimes. It could be slightly something to do with the new physics they've added into the game when off throttle, because that's where I've noticed most change in the new tyre model and the new physics. When coming off the throttle, it doesn't seem like you've got as much engine braking as you used to. It seems like they've reduced the engine braking slightly, so could be partly that, but I think it's also partly the way the characteristics of the car are. But a nice car, very stable car to drive, fairly easy as well. It can really attack the curbs. I noticed. You just watch how attack that curb, and it just grips. It doesn't have any issue on the corner. So another nice Group 3 car. How competitive this is going to be another question. I don't know. You can't judge it off of the daily race C on the new track, because a lot of people haven't pushed the car, and a lot of people haven't pushed any other car. They're just trying out the new cars and stuff. So we really need to wait for a few weeks and get an idea if this is overpowered or underpowered or what. I have no idea. You can see a 23.8, I think it is there. But obviously there was potential to go probably about another second quicker than that, and then you've got the new tyre model coming in. So this is the final car, and probably my favourite so far I've driven, the new 787. The engine on this sounds amazing. It sounds so much fun. It's so good, and it's so much fun to drive. The only issue is you probably need to get your shifter set up, I think, because on gear changes it was a bit sluggish. I think you do need, to get the maximum out of this car, you probably need to set your shifter up. I obviously didn't set it up for this. See that every gear changes there's a little bit of a delay where it's not obviously got a paddle shift system in this car, but it's so fast. Obviously only 5 gears, and the acceleration is brutal. How competitive this will be, again, I don't think it's going to be competitive. I think they really need to get rid of these cars from the Group 1 cars, bin that idea off. Now we've got 4 of these cars, put them in their own class and let's race these together. I don't want to be racing modern day LMP ones in the 787. I want to be racing cars from a similar kind of era. It's another class of car that I think adds a lot more variety to the game, but Polyphony don't want to do it yet. Whether they'll do that in the future is another question, but this was certainly one of the better cars that I've driven so far. Really fun. Sound amazing as well on the replays as well when you listen to the engine when it's screaming. This is the type of engine that we want back in real cars. A car that sounds amazing and really fun to drive. So you pushed a little bit too hard there. I only had a quick go at this, and obviously I'll probably drive this a bit more if there's any. It'd be nice to have some races with just this and the other older LMP cars, the Group C cars, but it's not going to happen unless they do a change within the class of the car. overall, I think this update has 100% been one of the best updates that's come out. If anyone complains about this being, the content and the cars, I think they need to have a look at, this is free content. Yeah, you can now. I've heard a lot of people complaining that you have to, this is an option to buy cars, but this is an option. You're not getting forced into it. I can still buy all these cars. I've bought them already with in-game credits. It's just there's an option now for people that don't play the game as much and don't have the time to obviously get these cars. They can just buy them for I think they're like $1.99 or something like that. So if they want to do that and it helps the developers out, let people do that. I will personally be playing the game enough just to buy these cars outright with credits, so no issue for me. And I think if you've got an issue with that system, I don't understand it, to be brutally honest. There's no issue as long as they don't start bringing it into like everything. But to be fair, I wouldn't even mind if they started adding some real tracks and charged us for them, but it would separate the community a bit. But I wouldn't have a massive issue with that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. I'm going to be back with more GT Sport videos. It may be tomorrow now for the top 24 manufacturers race that I got in. That'll probably be uploaded tomorrow. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll be back very soon. Thanks again for watching.